Welcome to another episode of Willing to Talk About It. Today's guest is none other than Arthur Muhammad. Arthur is a filmmaker, movie producer, writer, and editor, among many other things. He is also the owner of AM Film Studio. Arthur has won many awards for his work, and it seems like he is always coming out with new material. In this conversation, we discuss how he got into movie making, how his plans changed when he got hurt on the football field. Arthur talks about how much he has learned from his first movie until now, how the industry has changed. Arthur has contributed to well over 35 movies. Today, you will learn a little more about one of the most consistent and dedicated filmmakers in the business. I promise you that. Make sure you check out Recession Proof on Hulu, 12, which is on Fandango. Also go back and watch Carter High. It's a story about where Arthur went to high school. Making a movie is a challenging feat. Fall in love with the process and live with the results is one of the models that Arthur lives by. Now, before I go into my pitch about why you should like, share, and subscribe to this channel so I can keep bringing you special guests like Arthur Muhammad, which I have consistently done, I'm going to tell you, this brother is one of the most realest brothers that I've had the opportunity to speak with. And you have to appreciate what he's done, what he's doing. But not too often do you get to sit down and meet the people behind the scenes. We often deal with those that are just on the big screen, not understanding how everything comes together. And the funny thing is about that, real quick, I don't talk about me much, but as a carpenter, I can relate to what Arthur kind of experiences, because you look at these buildings, you walk into people's homes, you experience those nice, beautiful things, but you never know who built them. You never know who created that. Now, like I said, this brother is a writer, an editor, a producer, and a director. Okay? So he is a part of every facet of the movie a lot of the times. You know what? Let me get out the way. Let's get to it. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, so Arthur Muhammad, AM Films, director, writer, producer. Did I leave anything out? Editor.
Yes, sir. Editor.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for reaching out, bro.
All right. So you've got, in the past 12 months, correct me if I'm wrong, you've either done one of those four things that you do on a movie: Recession Proof, Colors of Love, and Stepdad.
Elite Society is another one, and I had another film that come out recently. You said Recession Proof,
Colors of Love,
Colors of Love, Stepdad, and Elite Society.
Elite Society. Okay. So that's 4 in the past 12 months.
Right.
Wow.
Colors of Love haven't come out yet.
Okay, it's on the way.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to actually get into, what's involved, what's behind the scenes of all that stuff, because we don't really get the exclusive to be able to talk to a director. So I'm definitely so grateful to be able to do that. The man that brings everything, man or woman, depending on who you're working with, that brings everything together. But before I do that, I want to ask you where are you originally from, Arthur?
I'm from Dallas. Originally, I'm from Dallas, and I'm still currently in the area. I'm not like right in Dallas, but on the outside.
Okay. And what was it like growing up in Dallas?
Man, well, I grew up in Oak Cliff, and I guess you could say like a middle class, household. I went to Carter High, which is another film that I did.
Correct.
About the Carter High football team, which if you ever seen Friday Night Lights, the team that they play at the end that they tried to make the villain, that's Carter High. So I played football there at Carter, and then later got a football scholarship and went to SMU. But even before that, when I was at Carter, I was I used to work at a movie theater. That was the only job I had. And that's when I really started to get into filmmaking. And the film that came out, one of the films that came out when I was working at the movie theater was Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Right.
And I literally watched that movie every day. I was at work several times. And that really was the film that branded in me to, I think, to really, really, really want to strive to be a filmmaker.
Wow. So how old were you when you started working at the movie theater?
I was in high school, probably 16, 17.
Okay. Now, I know you was on the football team, got a scholarship, but were you like a good student? Did you like school?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I liked school. I was a decent student. I had pretty decent SAT scores. Hence, I went to SMU on a football scholarship. So, in SMU here in Dallas, in the Dallas area, you have to have pretty decent SAT scores, whether or not you got a football scholarship or not.
Okay. Now, did you have any siblings?
Yes.
Do you have any siblings? Where are you in that tree?
I'm the middle. I'm the only boy, and then the middle.
Okay. What was that like? Having you got an older sister that's telling you what to do, and a baby sister you got to protect, right?
Right, so to speak. But my baby sister, we so close. I'm in, we like a year apart.
Okay.
So we kind of grew up in a household with everybody had their own room, and everybody stayed in their own room.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now you said you was playing football, then boom, went to college playing football. Was there anything else you wanted to do growing up? Was there something you saw and say, you know what, I think I'm gonna be an attorney or this or that? Was there anything you?
Football. That at Carter, that was the thing. I didn't even think I would be a filmmaker. I didn't even know that you could make movies. I watched Spike Lee film over and over and over again, and I think subconsciously it was instilled in me to want to make movies. But I found out when I was born, my dad bought an 8mm film camera, and he never gave it to me anything. But we started watching some of the films that they recorded when we was young growing up, and just looking at the film, these home videos, they look like movies, because I guess because they were shot in film. And so I remember that, and all these things started coming back to me after I really got into filmmaking. And that was one of the incidents. Another incident when I was in elementary school, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, we had a project where we had to take an action figure and move it a little bit and take a picture, and move it a little bit more and take a picture, and move it a little bit more and take a picture. And then when you ran it through the projector, it was like stop motion. It looked like they was moving. I don't remember anything from elementary school, but that's like one of the only things that I remember as far as projects that we ever did. That stayed with me. But yet and still, I still didn't think that you can make movies. That just was never a thought. My thought was football, play football. A lot of people from Carter went to college, and a few went to the pros. And that was my, dream. That was
your aspirations at that time.
Yes, sir.
And so when you got to college, by now you're at college, you're still balling, you're still playing ball.
Oh, yes, sir. And before when you go, you have to look in the pamphlet to see what you want to major in, this and that, and blah blah blah. And that was the first time I saw the word cinema. That was like one of the things you can major in, and that just jumped off the page and reminded me, of like all these other things. And I'm like, okay, let me do that. And it was still it was under communication, but it was cinema. So I went in that direction. Still focused on football though, but I tore my ACL my freshman year, like the last game, about the ninth game of the season. So I played too many games to get like a medical red shirt. So that kind of, threw things off. Came back my sophomore year, and we had a new coach, bumped heads, and I ended up leaving.
Okay, so you left. Your sophomore year, that was it?
Yes, after my sophomore year.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. So where did you pick up film back at? Because you didn't finish. I didn't finish, but I started, at that point, I just started working on, I transferred to another school, Texas A&M in Kingsville, played there one semester, left. After I left, even though I didn't finish, now this is an interesting part here. Okay. Even though I didn't finish, I kept the passion of filmmaking. So I literally just started based on what I had already learned, and I ended up buying a 16 millimeter film camera, and I shot my first feature film. And the ball, ever since that first film, Solitaire, I was just making movies. And come full circle, after I did Carter High, SMU, the school that I went to initially, reached out to me to give me the opportunity to come back to school to finish my degree, and gave me all of my film credits because of my body of work that I'd already done. So I only had to do like Spanish and a couple other classes, and I ended up, getting my bachelor's in film. Wow. I like where this is going, Arthur, because so many students in our community, they have aspirations to be a professional athlete, and then they don't have anything in the secondary phase of it. And like you said, it was to no fault of your own. You got hurt.
Right.
You got hurt. I mean, who knows? Maybe you would have been in the NFL. At the same time, you had something to fall back on, and you didn't allow it to get you off track. I mean, maybe it did for a little bit, but I'm sure that's something you dreamed of doing, you wanted to do. Yeah, it hurt, especially to see some of your teammates go forward and go on. But right. you were able to sustain mentally and keep going on. And like you said, then it came back to you. But by that time, you had already took the bull by the horns and kept moving.
Right.
That's great. Right. So you talk about your first movie. It was a Solitaire, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who wrote it?
I wrote it. I directed it. I produced it. I edited it. Even some of the days we had to do sound, I would get the boom mic and just lean in them bushes or put it on the couch to even just capture the sound. So, yeah, everything.
It's funny because your creativity and your determination obviously is there, and it was there from a young age. I mean, that's just coming out right now. But what goes into that? Where did you get the confidence to do that, to write a movie and then convince other people to be in it?
Man, that's a good question. I've never even been asked that question before. I don't know. I mean, I think you write it. Of course, you got to write it first. And then especially when I did Solitaire, to give people scripts, which I've had people come to me that I've given the scripts before that they still have on them now, and say, man, do you remember when you gave me this script and showed me this old script? And people would laugh, like, you gonna make a movie, like a real movie? I'm like, yeah, this is a real movie. And once you can convince them that it's a real movie, I don't know how you convince them. It just, you give them the script, they see this is a real script. So we got this far. This is the camera. Here's the equipment. This is how we're going to do it. And I've learned now, and maybe it was a little different then than it is now. Now I'm being a little bit more seasoned, and I also teach filmmaking and directing in college. But I tell the students, you have to get the cast and the crew to trust you and trust your vision. And I think that is the key, communicating your vision enough to the cast and the crew to the point where you convince them to help come along on this journey, to usher in your vision.
Yeah. As I told you before we started recording, I'm a small business owner, and I have written a book. I've written one book. I'm working on another one, but it's like when you're doing something outside the box, it's crazy to people until you actually do it, and then they say, "Wow, Arthur Muhammad is a damn genius." You know what I mean? But to get people on board, especially people that at that point you this was your first one, so you had not put anything out, like anything to say this is my body of work and stuff like that. So did you actually have a budget, or was this straight up, listen, do me a favor?
Do me a favor and $6,000.
So man, that's good stuff. Man, that's good stuff, man. So you forever indebted to that cast, man.
Oh yeah, and a lot of it, I think maybe one brother still acts, and him not even really, but he was like the maybe the real actor, even though he hadn't done, no one had done anything then. So I'm using people that never acted before. So.
Right. Okay. And then where did it get distributed? What was that process? You got it, you done cut it up, wrote it, they done learned their lines, everything is good, or it's good enough. How do you get that distributed at that time?
Good question. And just to back it up just a little bit, again, like I said, I shot the movie on film, right? So when you shoot on film, totally different now than shooting on digital. But on film, you have to get this film processed, developed, transferred, so you can actually see what you shot. Nowadays you can shoot and you understand, you see right what you shot. This wasn't the case back then. Right. And so I'm actually loading film up in a film magazine, shooting this movie, not knowing, I know how to get the aperture and the shutter speed, and I know the speed of my film, got all that. So I'm sending the film to the lab, and always anxious. I'm asking, how did it turn out after it get processed and developed? Everything's good, Mr. Muhammad. I sent another, can of film. So all the way up until close to the end of the movie, I'm sending film to the lab. They reach out and say, we think you need to come see this. I'm like, oh Lord, my heart. Like, see. Yeah. So I go sit in the lab and I'm looking at the film, and it has these light streaks, like in some of the roles going in it. And I'm like, oh man, of course I don't have no money to reshoot none of this stuff. So my mind at that moment started saying, how can I fix this? I had one more roll of film left. And so what I did is I shot another scene with the character waking up, and everything with the string of light was him dreaming. Wow, man. So that's how I got it right. And what had happened, my camera, the shutter had broke, and I didn't know it because it's still running, but the film that's going through it is not going through it correctly. So that's where the light streaks was coming from. So I got that fixed and shot that last scene to make it work, and got distribution. Maverick Entertainment distribute the film way back in the day. And like I said, it cost $6,000. They gave me way more than $6,000 for it. And I said, cool.
Wow. So that's what that does. So you take it there, sit it on the desk, watch this, make me an offer.
Yes, sir. Basically, that's how it goes. And that's how it was then. Now, you have a distributor that they will take it to different streaming platforms. And, so like Carter High we had a theatrical release first, limited theatrical release. Then it went to BET, and then it went to Netflix, So these are just different platforms. But back then, it just went straight to the distribution company, and they bought it.
If you didn't have football, what would you be doing?
In Texas.
What makes you all so good as a team?
I'd say our discipline.
High school football is king.
What makes us so good? Me.
But in 1988,
Carter has in fact been forced to forfeit their final 3 games due to an ineligible player.
You say it passed. His report card shows it passed. But the URL say it failed.
one team had to fight
These young boys should not be punished for some grown man mistakes.
just to step on the field.
My staff and I will fight as hard in the courtroom as those boys fight out on the field.
Welcome to Carter High, one of the best high school football teams ever.
So you think this has something to do with the school being predominantly black?
If this school was mostly white, none of this stuff would even be happening.
Nothing worth having is gonna be easy.
I think I'm losing them.
You go on out there and you defend your boys.
Football is about making good decisions, and gambling don't build character.
What we supposed to do if we can't practice?
You stay focused. We waiting on a phone call to see exactly what's going on.
Attention, faculty and students. I've just been informed by the Dallas superintendent that our football team has been reinstated into the playoffs.
Charles S. Dutton, Vivica A. Fox, Pooch Hall, David Banner.
I want y'all to know there's this little thing called destiny. It's something you got to go out and get.
Carter High.
Okay. Talk to me about some of your collaborations with actors and different writers and that experience working on set with them.
Let me see. Let me start with the actors, because I think actors, that is very, very, very important. And it's working with Charles Dutton. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with Charles Dutton, but with he was The Rock, right? Well, I learned a lot from Charles, Mr. Dutton, because he's not only an actor, he was director as well. And just working with seasoned actors like that, Vivica Fox, Lamont Rucker, Don Halfkenny, and the last film, Bid for Love 2, we had so many seasoned actors in there. But you steadily gain experience. And I believe filmmaking is a collaborative effort. And the actors come in and they offer, something that you may not seen as a director. And I tell young directors, go with it. Because if your job was to hire them, let them do their job. Get out the way. And the same thing, and then on the flip side, it's a little different working with a writer, because the writer has to trust the vision of the director. And I try to explain to young writers, once you hand that script over to the director, it's like handing a baton to that next runner. Don't run next to him, hand it to him, and trust he's gonna make it to the end.
Right.
So you gotta trust the director, because you hired him for his vision. So let him or her, apply their vision to what you wrote.
Now, is there ever a time where someone has brought in you something and you didn't agree with it, and you said, if you change this, then I'll direct it? Or do you, or what do you don't think that's fair to do, or how does that work?
Oh no, definitely. Because if I don't communicate that to the writer, and then we start trying to shoot something that I know is not going to work, I'm doing both of us a disservice, because this film is going to represent me and you. And they say time is money, right? And this is show business. Well, my thing is, why try to fix something after you already shot it if you can fix it for free right now on paper? So if it's something wrong that we can fix right now, and I've been doing this for a minute, and I can read your script and tell you this is going to be an issue and this is going to be a problem, then we need to fix it now. don't start shooting and spending money and hiring cast and hiring crew, and now you down the road, and the problem that we saw in the beginning, we didn't fix. Right. So yes, I let them know up front whether or not it's characters or locations or too many locations, where this can be consolidated. You know, just it's so many things that go into making
moving parts.
Yes.
Yeah. And having said that,
definitely fix it in pre-production.
Pre-production.
Fix it in pre-production. I tell everybody, proper planning prevents piss poor production.
Correct.
And if you can fix it, and if you can fix it now while it's free, it ain't gonna cost you anything. Fix it.
Now, how do you set the budget for a movie, Arthur? Is it one set? Does it go by the length of the movie, or how many scenes? How do we get to the budget of a movie?
It's so many, like we said earlier, so many different moving parts. But just to break it down just a little bit, the script is going to dictate everything. So if you write a 3-hour movie, of course, this 3-hour movie is going to cost more than a 2-hour movie or hour and a half movie. If you write a movie with 35 locations, that means this script got to be broken down, and you have to go to each location and have scenes. You know, that can help. It can increase your budget. Now you can get one location and have Denzel Washington, and now you still gonna have a big budget. You got Denzel Washington. So who you cast in your film is also going to dictate, you know, what a film costs. So you have your locations, you have your cast, you have your crew. The bigger the crew, 9 times out of 10, the bigger the budget. If you can start consolidating the crew, and sometimes like my first film, I wore several hats. Like basically every feature film that I've done, that I've directed, I've edited, which helps saves if the money's coming from us, from the production, then it saves money, because now, you know, I'm not going to take as much editing if I'm directing and producing and everything else.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes you just got to wear a lot of hats, consolidate locations, what you shoot on, if you rent equipment, or if you hire a DP that already owns his equipment. It's so, you know, so many different things, but those are just a few.
But it pretty much starts with the script, though.
Oh, definitely the script will dictate.
So you mentioned pre-production. You can go into the script and say, listen, I love what you got here, but your budget doesn't fit it. So you need to change it. You need to change it just because you don't have the money to put this type of movie out.
Right. And that's really with almost every movie, especially if I don't write it, because a lot of times the writer, they were just writing, you know, a script, which is cool. Write it from that standpoint. And really the last 2 films, the last 3, Elite Society, Stepdad, and Recession Proof, when they all initially came to me with those scripts, all of them had to go back and adjust it to the budget that you have, or the budget that you feel you can raise. And if you're shooting this yourself, trust me, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. You mentioned 2 things. I want to get both of them too. You mentioned Denzel. You said, hey, listen, we got one location, but we got Denzel. Now, how important is it to have an anchor actor or actress in a film, even if you only have one?
It's very important. And I was just recently talking to another director, and that's kind of like the dilemma right now. Let's say you have a budget, right? And your budget is $250,000, which is very, very low. But for independents, that's high. But you have what you just said, like an anchor actor. So I have no one attached to the script or in this movie that can sell it, that a distribution company can look at the cover or look at the IMDb and say, I don't know none of these people. I don't care what you spent for it. None of these people are going to drive traffic to my channel or drive traffic to the platform. I can't use none of these actors to sell this movie. You may have the best movie in the world, but if no one gets to see it because you haven't cast properly, then you can make that decision as a filmmaker and cast the best person, but don't spend $250,000 then.
Right.
You know, that budget should probably be $50,000.
Wow. And now you mentioned raising the money. How does someone raise the money? How is someone like myself, just a normal guy? Could I say, yeah, listen, I got a couple $1,000s I want to put towards your movie? Does it happen like that, or how does the raising of the money go?
Different ways. Let's say if you making a movie, just an example about a dentist, that starts on a murder spree, and so you may go to different dentist offices and say, look, I got this movie that I want to make about this dentist. Would you like to, invest? That could be one way. You can have situations where, like Sean Hunt, the writer of Stepdad, he had people that he just reached out to invest in the movie. And it's a family film with children. Stepdad. And they bought it. He communicated his vision, how he can get their money back. They trusted him, and they're happy right now because Stepdad is doing very, very well.
Right,
so
right.
It's different ways. I've had people come to me to want to do a movie and say, this is the money I have. Do you have any scripts, or can we write something to fit this budget? I've done it that way.
That's important. What do you like doing more of? And for an artist, I know it may be a tough question. Would you rather direct or write?
Right. Both.
Well, at the same time. The same time too.
If I had to choose one, right. And I say right because in the beginning was the word. You can't do anything without the script.
Wow.
The ideal is king. So if I had to choose one, right.
Wow.
I wish I could be like and which I'm working on a couple of scripts now. One I finished, but one I'm working on literally at this moment. But I always go back to the writing, always. And even when I watch films and TV shows, I always wonder, like, how did they come up with that idea? And lately, 9 times out of 10, it has come from a book, a novel, and you don't know it, and you're watching a movie and you find out, oh, this was from a book. So writing is the key to this business.
Right. And that leads me, how do you keep from, especially now, because you've put out so much work, how do you keep from going back and saying, well, this is all he does, is write these type of movies? How do you come up with new stuff, even if your audience is saying, we want more of this? How do you break through and say, no, well, I'm gonna give you this because this is something that's relevant as also, because most of your movies have meanings behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carter, that was a true story, and you've written a few other ones. I believe Colors of Love was something like that, correct?
Yeah, Colors of Love is a documentary about
correct.
Jan. Jan. Yeah, so that was someone else. So I've had the privilege to have people come to me with material or subject matters. And of course they all come, different perspective. I've done the hood films. I've done the romantic comedies.
Right.
I've done the, like you said, the sports film. So it's always has been my last film that I actually wrote, that I produced and directed, that haven't come out yet, 12, initially was a horror film. That's how I wrote it, as a horror film. And I think it's more comedy than horror, but to go was horror. So, but I think to just be authentic to your voice at that time, like, what do you want to say to the world? And what I like to say, not what you want to say right now, but if you want to say something 5 years from now, what would you say? And the reason why I say 5 years, you can put any type of time on it, but because whatever you making right now, it may not get to the people until a few years down the road. So what would you want to, what are you feeling now that you want to say, you know, and perhaps it still resonate 4 or 5 years from now?
Right. Now, your last name, Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
What religious belief are you?
Islam. I'm a Muslim.
Okay. How does that play into your writing, your storytelling, and just your whole art, your whole craft?
Well, as far as me writing, like you said, everything has, especially that I write, have a meaning. And I always try to incorporate striving to be a good person, or striving in the end, you know, striving to be obedient, you know, striving to be just, you know, to want for your brother or sister what you want for yourself. I try to incorporate that in, you know, and have that at least in the narrative of the story. It's going to be wrapped up in it. And because just personally, this stuff, my work will be here way after I'm gone.
Correct.
You know, so what I like to say from the grave, you know, in Dawah, in Islam, you know, when you do, you know, when you spread the word, so to speak, it's Dawah. So I would like from my films, especially from this point on, that I'm writing, to be part of that.
Wow. So you're talking about legacy.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right,
yes, sir.
Right. And so each film is consistent, regardless of what it is. Each film is consistent on what you want to take out of it, as far as that's concerned, what you just said.
Yeah, it's if I wrote it. You know, like I said, I've written some hood films, and even
right.
I've directed that I didn't write, but I still try to, when I'm working with the writer, at least have one character in here that makes that transformation. You know, have something to say at the end, you know, to the audience, so that the whole movie is just not, you know, hood, so to speak, and people can't get anything from it.
What would you say, Arthur, to that young, and maybe even not young, that old director or writer that's looking to get something started? How do they find directors? How do you find directors?
I think you find the work that the directors do. When I'm teaching classes, a lot of the students may not know the director, right? But like you said earlier, I think when you first started this, you see these movies and you watch the movies, but you don't know the people behind the movie.
Right.
So when I'm teaching class, I always tell the students, find the movie that resonates with you. And then we just start going backwards and breaking it down. And then we find a director. Study the director, look up the director, see how this director got started, see the other films that this director has done. So I would say if you want to find directors, start there. IMDb is a good place to go. That's the Internet Movie Database. I think that's the acronym for it. That's IMDb. And you can go there and look up any profession, the writers, the producers, directors. You can start there. So if you're actually trying to contact directors, I don't know if that's what you meant by the question, then IMDb will be the best spot to go.
Okay. Now, whichever hat you're wearing, how much thought, because we hear a lot about this validation of the craft from your peers with awards, and not everybody gets one because of the political stuff. How much goes into, when you're doing what you're doing, thinking, I'm going to get an award, and if I don't, is there even, I know it may vary between directors and actors and writers, but just as a whole, does that play a part in your work?
No, not getting awards. When I'm like the scripts that I'm writing now, it's a message in it. and it's more about how this message, God willing, will resonate with the people that see this movie. How it can affect them. What world can I create and offer to the audience that they may not be familiar with, that they can see, wow, I didn't know that. So that's when I'm writing, that's more or less where I'm coming from.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the, other than your first movie? We know what happened in your first movie, but what are some of the challenges you faced wearing either hat throughout your career?
I mean, it's a challenge on every movie, right? Every film is a challenge. But just to give credit, because this is something else I tell the students, right? There was a film, First Impression, that we did. We shot it in Atlanta, and at the very last day, the day right before we was about to start shooting, we lost one of the main characters. And literally casted a brother, Kendrick Cross, who came in the day literally before we started shooting. And he had a lot. And not only did he have a lot, he had to shoot the very first day. And me as a director, I want to try as much as I possibly can to create an atmosphere, so that the actors are comfortable. And again, trying to gain the trust. So what I did is, in filmmaking, you get coverage, right? Meaning the camera is actually on the actor that you're shooting at the time. So what I did is shot all of Lamont Rucker coverage first to give Kendrick, speed and time to, get familiar with his lines, get into character more and more and more. And by the time we started shooting his coverage, the brother was on point. So that was a testament to him being serious about his craft and being a professional actor. So that was like something I had to overcome. But it's on every movie. it's always that's part of directing.
Yeah, but how important is it to not lose your cool?
Very important. Again, when I don't lose my cool anyway, but that's very, very important. I believe you got to rise above emotion into the thinking, that can help you facilitate, because you got everybody looking at you.
Right.
Everybody's like, and you lose your cool. I mean, how can I trust you to give me the proper direction?
Right.
So my thing is, the project, the film, this is the baby that's we all trying to develop and give birth to. So I tell you, whenever a woman is giving birth, they tell her, breathe. That's it. Breathe. Keep breathing and push. So we gonna keep breathing and we gonna keep pushing. We keep breathing, we keep pushing until we give birth.
Right. Are you surprised, Arthur, that more actors and actresses don't collab, pool their monies, and push out material?
I used to be surprised, but now, me being in Dallas, and there's so many filmmakers here in Dallas making movies and not doing what you just said. So we look at the Hollywood and say, man, like back in the day, why Eddie Murphy, Prince, and all these people don't get together like on a regular basis and form something so that they can help, especially the younger generation. But then I look, right in my own backyard and we're not doing it.
Right.
So, I'm not surprised now. Not at all.
Oh, wow. Do you think it'll ever happen? Or is this just going to be, you get yours, I'll get mine, and it is what it is?
I would like to think that one day it will happen, and maybe we have to be forced to do it, and sometimes it takes that force to create a certain type of unity.
Right.
And maybe that may happen.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of, over the years, I mean, there's a lot of good movies that's out. There's a lot of good actors and actresses that would just knock it down. I mean, you look at how well Harlem Nights did when it dropped, or what's the other one, Coming to America, and all these movies. I mean, you had several stars, and it was just layered up, multiple anchors. You know,
and I think you have that where you have like several stars. But when I say like come together, like collab, like for example,
I'm talking about our own stuff.
Oh yeah, no, we not. I don't like. Who have Tyler Perry worked with besides Tyler Perry? Spike Lee worked with Spike Lee. You know, he did a collab with somebody, but it's not like these directors don't work together like that. I'm sure someone else could write something that Tyler Perry could direct, but Tyler Perry writing everything that he directs.
Right. And where is the heaviest challenge though? Is it the production, to produce it? I mean, okay, I write it, I could write it, you could direct it, but then where's the real heavy risk being taken?
I think the risk, I think the heaviest, the most important is the writing. You know, that first of all, that's got to be right and on point. Because you say you're in construction, the writing is the blueprint to the house that you're going to build. So that's, you know, the most important. I think the production of it now is going to be the heaviest, because the writing is basically you and maybe somebody you writing with, if you have a writing partner, which some people do. But then once you get to the production, you can be dealing with hundreds of cast, hundreds of crew. Now that's the heavy part. You get out of production, now you get into post-production. It's just the editor and maybe the producing editor or the producing director, an editor. So, but the heavy part is the production, I believe, definitely.
For social reasons, is there ever a movie that you or a script that you just turned down and said, "No, I just don't want to be a part of that"?
There's been a few.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever had to get rid of a cast member?
After we've already started shooting, no. Not after we've already started shooting. Before we started production, we have, but not, not as we started shooting. I never lost a cast member.
Okay, so that's good. So for all of the aspiring actors and actresses, new ones, what are some of the qualities that they have to have, even no matter how small their role is? What are some of the things they have to impress the director, I would say?
If you have lines that has been given to you, know them. Know your lines. Be off a book before you get to set. Don't come to set and you need to have this like the whole time. We trying to shoot something because you don't know your lines. Don't do that.
Wow.
Please don't do that. And it happens. It happens all the time. So. Because it affects not only how, again, going back to the budget, if you don't know your lines, it's going to affect how long it takes for us to shoot certain scenes, because you taking out time trying to really learn your lines. So we got to cut. It even affects, I can have a whole storyboard, shot list, how I want to shoot something. And let's say I wanted to shoot it with less coverage as possible, and maybe what we call like a Warner, right? Where the camera, we don't cut. It's just a continuous take. I can't do that shot because you don't know your lines.
Wow. So in a situation like that, do people ever contact you and say, "Arthur, I'm thinking about getting this actor or actress. What do you think?"
Oh yeah, especially if I'm directing it, Definitely, because like Spike Lee has said, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and a lot of major directors say 70-80% of directing is casting. So if the director is not, privy to the cast that you choose, especially if you're doing a feature film, if you're doing a episodic TV show, the cast is already in place. You're just being hired to direct this particular episode, apply your vision to that. But if it's a film where you're casting the people, 80% of casting is directing, or 80% of directing is casting. Wow. So if the director is not having a choice on the cast that's been chosen, then you probably should direct it yourself.
Yeah. So in the same way though, Arthur, do you call other directors and say, hey, I just had this person on set and they're amazing. So, I don't know what you're working on, but, give them a try.
I haven't done that, but we do talk, I have a lot of, matter of fact, before I got on here, a director I was talking to, one of the sisters that's in Stepdad, Portia Bunch Hall. Mm-hmm. He was inquired about her, based on her performance in that movie, and thought she was very, very good. And so we do that all the time. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question, Arthur, because people throw this word out, and it goes back to when back in the day, Caroline's Comedy Club, New York. I'm there to see who the world knows as JJ, right? Jimmy Walker. Good times. Right. I go in the bathroom before he gets on. There's somebody else up, and I didn't expect to see him in there. So I said, hey, what's up, JJ? He said, don't call me that. So is typecasting like a bad thing, or can it work for you as well?
I mean, me not being an actor, I'm gonna answer it from a director's point of view. It definitely can be a bad thing, because the reason why his response was probably the way that it was, because he was playing a role that role has expired, so to speak. But it's like, do you drink expired milk? Right. Do we eat expired food?
You're crazy, boy.
We don't. So the brother is that role. He's fresh. He's relevant. He wants to be relevant, but the JJ has expired. So that's why, typecast, and he don't. A lot of them don't want to be referred. The Rudy Huxtables of the world. I did a play. I don't even know a real name, but that's not.
How does an actor get out of that? I mean, if that's all people are sending me scripts to do what I did, what do I do? How does that work? You have to start. You got to pick roles that help navigate that and away from that particular thing. And I've seen a few. I can't think of the brother's name, but he's been in a few independent, low budget films from Family Matters. Okay. Not the dad, but the son, his son. Mm-hmm. But he has navigated that. You know who did a great job? Regina King. Yeah. She started on 227. Right. But a lot of people now, they don't even know her from 227. But that's where she grew up. That's where we all knew her from. But she's totally surpassed that. Right. And so basically what you're saying is she's gotten some scripts and she said, nah, not this. I will take this. Right. And I'm sure she has studied the craft enough to, transition from that role, Wow. Yeah. So you have to, even though she was younger when she did it, but even
the next, maybe one or two films, you was like, oh, that's so-and-so from 227, but she kept going so hard and so strong that you forgot all about 227 now.
Right. I'm going to ask you this question here, Arthur. In a lot of industries, people talk about who's the greatest of all time. And they refer to that as like who's on the Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
You've already said that the writing, the word, that's everything. Other than yourself, because I know you on there. Who's on the Mount Rushmore of writing? 4 names. Who's on the Mount Rushmore of writers? Whether you've worked with them or not.
Ooh, man. Of writing?
Or directing, if that'll help you out a little bit to get through it.
Writing, you know who was a good writer, who I think John Singleton was a good writer. So definitely John Singleton would be on there. And the other writers who are probably, and I know the movies, but a lot of people probably won't even know these writers.
They're gonna go find them.
Yeah. So the guy who wrote Marty, it's an old film called Marty. He's like, I actually have his book back there. I may need to go grab it. But Marty, the guy who wrote that film. Let me see, writers. Oh, you know, that's a good writer. Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, what movie?
Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction was a classic. It still is, really.
Right.
Yeah.
But directors, Alfred Hitchcock. I put Alfred Hitchcock on there. Akira Kurosawa.
Okay.
Definitely, he's my favorite director. Spike Lee. Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, John Ford. Aaliyah, I think you pronounce it Aaliyah Kazan. There's an Indian director. It's kind of hard to pronounce his name, but he did a film called what's the name of the movie? The Stranger. The Stranger.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What for us to understand this a little bit better? What really makes a director a good director? What really makes him or she? And you may have already answered it. I mean, because some of the qualities that you personally have, being able to control the cast, your own emotions, and being able to deal with things production. Some of those things may. But is there anything else that really separates these directors from the others?
I think what makes a good director is having a vision, having a strong vision for the story. And you got to have a vision first.
Mm-hmm.
And now being able to communicate this vision properly to the cast and to the crew with truth. Because truth without presentation is to no avail. You can have all the truth in the world, but if you don't know how to present it properly to people, they ain't trying to hear it. Right. So first you got to have a vision and then be able to communicate that. I think that is what makes a good director. And on top of that, proper planning. You have to be prepared. Like, you can't get to set trying to figure it out. You know, even if you can do it that way, I don't want to be an actor, even though I have an act and get to set and I'm looking, and the person that's in charge of me and how I'm going to look on this screen is trying to figure it out. you know?
Right.
So I think that's it. Having a vision, being able to communicate it properly, and being prepared.
Okay. should more of us get into independent filmmaking? Are you against independent filmmaking? Do you think it's something that's been growing over the years, or is it a space that you can get casted to be like, oh well, you don't really make good stuff. Most just go the independent film way.
No, I think definitely get an independent. Everything is unless it's a studio film, everything is independent.
Okay.
I mean, it's considered independent if it's not a studio film. So, yeah, I mean, I've never done anything. Everything I've done has been independent.
Okay.
I consider myself an independent filmmaker.
So having said that, have you ever shot anything, did it all, and then it didn't get distributed? Nobody wanted to pick it up?
No, sir.
Okay. But that does happen, right?
No, it happens all the time.
So what would you do? Would you take the script to the distributor beforehand, or now you kind of understand what they want?
Oh, no, I wouldn't take my script to anyone right at this point. No, I would shoot it myself.
And trust that it's going to go.
Oh, definitely.
So you're taking a risk. It might not go.
You can definitely be taking a risk, but right now with that, with all the streaming platforms, I mean, you can put it on YouTube.
Oh, so you're going to get it out.
Oh, you're going to definitely. I'm going to get it out.
Okay. It's a good question because a lot of people don't know. So you were emphatic about not taking your script nowhere. So what's the danger in that?
Well, like I had a film. Well, I didn't recession-proof one movie that I recently did. That's out. Well, the sister who wrote it sent the script to someone else years before. Well, before we actually started shooting, once we had finished shooting the film, I just so happened to be watching a movie, and I'm watching like, whoa, this is exactly like Khadijah film. So I tell Khadijah about it. She looked, and the people that basically did, I'm not going to say who it is, but the people who put this movie out, that's who she had sent her script to.
Wow.
So in this day and time, I advise you, I don't even care if you got it copywritten or whatever, because you had it copywritten. It's just you're going to end up spending so much money even trying to fight the case that you might as well use that money to make your own movie.
This is a prospectus of some properties I'm looking to acquire.
And what's my percentage?
I was hoping the job would be good enough. How's Algebra?
Oh, she's good. Blessed.
Did she ever remarry?
Oh, yes. To Jesus. Bless this all, Lord. Bless this all.
Satan, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I leave my daughter. Pastor.
Well, she always did love the Lord.
You need to change the way you look. You say you made it on Wall Street? Now this is Hall Street. Knock yourself out.
Wow. So you definitely, but I got to bring it to you just to see what we got. I got to bring it to my director to see what we have.
Oh, well, that's different. I mean, if you're reaching out to a director,
typically y'all not gonna steal material like that.
Oh yeah, I got too much stuff I'm trying to do myself.
Right.
Yeah. So, but if you're taking it to a director to come on board to direct the film, that's one thing. I'm talking about like sending it off to people for them to make the movie without you being a part of it, so to speak.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that don't work. That don't work.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I'm gonna mention a name. I'm gonna drop a name for you. You tell me what comes to your mind. If you want to describe them, however you want to do it. Some of them you work with, some of you not, but they're all in the industry. Vivica Fox.
Icon.
Charles Dutton.
A legend.
Oprah Winfrey.
Talk show host.
Double followed up. Let me come right back at you then. Tyler Perry.
A businessman.
Ice Cube.
How to survive in South Central.
Here we go. John Singleton.
Rest in peace.
Wesley Snipes.
Blade.
And my other guy, Clifton Powell.
Pinky.
Yeah. Last one. As a matter of fact, two more. Khadijah Karam.
My sister.
And last but not least, I'm sure you like this one, is Spike Lee.
The mentor I never had.
Wow. So basically, have you and Spike ever talk a lot, or you guys talk?
No, I met him before, but we don't talk like that.
Okay. So when you're not writing, when you're not directing, what does Arthur Muhammad like to do to relax? Because I mean, as a writer, as a creator, I'm sure everything you see is like, it's probably hard to just relax. What do you do? How do you do that?
Play chess.
Really?
Yeah, I play either on my phone, because too many people don't play, so I don't have like a chess partner, somebody to play with, so I'll play on my phone. I read. I wish I could read more. I can say I wish I could. I need to read more. But I like to read, watch movies. But I don't know if that's part of. But I don't know.
Nah, you still studying, man. You watching movies, you reading. You still studying, man. You still in this.
I know. Yeah. And we got a beach house, so now I go, even though we haven't been able to go there often. But I love that, going to the beach.
You're still in that creative space, though. It's probably hard to get out of that creative space.
It is, and we also have a driving school too, though. So that's so we teach teenagers, even adults, how to drive, and then
How is it? Because like we said earlier, the director is usually behind the scenes, but how is it when people see you and they say, "Hey, are you that?" How is that for the first time, or does it happen that often?
It don't happen often, because like you said, you're so far behind, and I don't do like these podcasts, and I've done a few TV interviews, but I'm not like so much out there that people would know. But it did happen. It has happened a couple of times, and one time at the airport, it was kind of like, strange. And even when I just got back from Savior's Day in Detroit, a few people, one in particular, was talking to me. I didn't really know who they were, but they knew who I was, in my work. Right. And so it has happened, and it's good. I guess it's a good feeling.
Right. Yeah, somebody, people appreciate your work.
Right.
People appreciate your work. We talked about your challenges and in the business. What personal challenges have you had, Arthur, and how did you get through that?
Personal challenges. I would say probably my biggest personal challenge probably got divorced, and the way I handle it is basically, which I'm sure you probably already know, I focus more on my work. But actually, at the same time, I ended up graduating from SMU.
Okay.
So I finished my degree, and I didn't stop there. I went straight from my, get my degree, and I went to get my MFA. So I went straight from there. Then I got my master's in film. And like for the past 2 years, I think I've put out like 6 films.
Right.
Like literally. And
right.
I think that's how I got just focused on, my purpose, what I feel like as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been through a divorce myself, so it was about 15 years ago now. But everybody has a different thing. But I know what you mean when you say focusing on your work and just, using whatever you can to attach to pull yourself out of that place.
Right.
Especially in the night, man. And a lot of writers, that's, like I said, I'm an author. I don't write scripts, but maybe I could one day, right? I so enjoy writing. And, it changes you.
Right.
I can't even imagine writing the level of stuff you're writing and then it's on screen. And so do you feel the transformation happening as you're writing?
Oh, yes, definitely. As a matter of fact, I've been writing, and I'm remarried now, and my wife would see me writing, and she'll say, like, whoa, and I'm like, whoa, what? She's like, you turn into someone else. Why are you writing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, and she sees it, but I'm just like focused on the words that's on the screen at the time, and I'm really trying to get into the character that I'm writing, because I think it's good when your characters have different. I know it's good because you don't want every character to sound the same.
Right.
So I just take a moment to try to really put myself in the world of that character at that time, and she's seen me go there.
Right. So you're studying, you're researching, you're learning about different things and aspects of people, behavior, places. You're just allowing yourself to receive all this, and you're going there. And I'll be honest with you, I can almost bet, because I'm writing my book. I'm writing this book now, and believe me, every time I think I got it, I said I want to make sure that I'm not cheating anybody that's reading this, that I'm doing the right amount of research needed to be done to really extract all that information and put it into this book. And I can imagine you putting it on screen where undoubtedly thousands of people, maybe millions, going to watch it. You have to have that same sense of responsibility, no?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you got to think, even before it's on the screen, you have to give it to an actor that has to read these words, and they're the one playing the character. So when it's got to get past them first.
Right. Make it believable, right?
Right.
Make it believable.
And they'll let you know if this ain't. They're gonna let you know.
Yeah.
Like, why is it, I don't think I would say that.
Right.
What you mean you won't say it?
Yeah. What restrictions do you have with profanity and sexual content in a movie? Are some movies you just have to have it in order to sell it? Or is it something you say you don't need that, but the way this is written, it has to be there?
If it serves the story, everything serves the story. If you don't need it, and it's not serving the story or the characters in it, then I don't use it.
You don't use it.
Serve the story for that particular story that we're telling at the time, that movie, then yes, it has. But the stories, the ones that I'm writing, I don't need it. It may be a cuss word here and there, but the sex scenes and all that stuff, I don't need it. That would be more or less implied.
Right. Okay. That's great. So what's left for you? What movie haven't you done? I'll tell you one, first of all, and maybe you have done it, and I apologize if you have. I like suspense movies, like mystery stuff.
I would say the closest mystery film that I've done haven't come out yet, which is, like I said, that maybe like the horror film, and it's not more of it's a mystery thriller, horror type suspense movie. But I think the closest one that I've done that fits that would be The Little Voice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's out now on Tubi and Amazon Prime. You can see it. It's called The Little Voice.
Okay. One day,
it's still a relationship type film, but the way it's written, it definitely had that mystery component to it that it's more to this story.
Right.
That meets the eye. So yeah.
Right. One day, Arthur, we all gonna have to go to the upper room. We're gonna be called home. What would you want those that you've worked with, those that have watched your film, what would you want them to say Arthur Muhammad was and did?
Arthur Muhammad was a filmmaker that made movies that best serve humanity.
Wow. Arthur, last question for you, man. Unless you think of something, what would the Arthur now tell his younger self?
Learn from other filmmakers. Study other filmmakers. Because my younger self, I want to be so independent and so creative that I didn't want to take from other filmmakers. I want to create and make everything new, so to speak. But I think that have made my journey take a lot longer than it, based on where I thought I would be versus where I am now. And it's okay to study other filmmakers, and if they do something that you like, put it in your toolbox. You use it. You don't have to recreate and reinvent the wheel because they got it from another filmmaker, and that filmmaker got it from another filmmaker, and you're trying to go around. If it's something that you can use it. And that's how once you get to the point, that's how you learn your voice, is by studying the voice of other filmmakers. And then you eventually start being more authentic and you tell your stories, based on your voice. And then you start creating a new way to shoot this and do that. But yeah, they're definitely study other filmmakers.
Wow. That's great stuff, man. Well, I'm going to say this, Arthur Muhammad. I so appreciate you taking this time. I mean, we can go on and on and on. Believe me, man, I got a lot of questions. I will be respectful of your time. But I will say this. If you ever pick a location like Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am, you let me know. I'll do whatever. I'll come on set and just pass out cold water or something. Help you with the budget.
I may be going to, let me look at my phone real quick. I may be going to North Carolina because a guy reached out to me. I'm just looking to make sure it's North Carolina. And he asked me to come to, it is, Western Carolina University. I don't know if that's in Western.
It's probably somewhere near me.
Okay, yeah.
It's probably somewhere near me. I mean, if they're bringing you out, then it's somewhere near me. If that makes sense to you, you know what I mean?
Okay.
If that makes sense to you, if they're bringing you out, it's definitely somewhere near me. I'm in Charlotte, but is it a film school? They want you to speak?
Yes.
Yeah. So man. But like I say, hit me up, and but you, I gotta talk to you a little more about script writing, and like you say, a lot of people take things from books. And this next book I'm writing, I'm not trying to get into the industry, but it's just that it's just to learn more about that. And you helped me with to believe it or not, you really helped me with that last answer, because I'm writing this book, and I don't read other people's books when I'm writing. So when you said that, it kind of, and one of the people that I'm going to interview, he wrote a book. I know him personally, and I thought it was only fair to read the book. But I told him I hesitate to read it because I don't want to pull nothing into my voice. But I like the way you put that. It may help me find my voice for that particular piece.
Definitely. The brother who did the movie Blitz, who did the movie Color Purple. The director.
The director.
Of the new movie Color Purple?
Right.
Yeah, so he was one of our advisors where I got my MFA from. And what made me really, when you asked me that question, the reason why I answered that is because he gave us a book and said what helped him as a filmmaker. And the name of the book is Still Like an Artist. And he recommended we all get that book. And so when I got that book and started reading it, it just opened up my eyes like, wow, like we all are artists. And it is different quotes from different directors in there. They said, if you're not creating any work that another artist can't steal from, then what are you doing?
Wow.
What are you giving to the world if you're not creating any type of work that another artist can't steal from? And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're going to take it and make it your own. So definitely, bro. I would say read it.
I got 20 pages left. You'll be happy to know I got 20 pages left. And so I did read it, and I don't think it did anything for me, but I like the way you put it, though. I just wanted my voice to be my voice. I didn't want to be accused of pulling some of his work into my work. But the reality of it is there's still going to be some stuff that wasn't there that I brought to the table, because I am an artist. I am creative. And so, I mean, I came up with it. I decided that I'm going to write this, and that wasn't a total copycat. One last question, actually, since you've been talking about this. How does AI come into play anywhere in here in the filmmaking industry now, and script writing and things like that? And do you think it's like cheating?
It is definitely coming into play. Definitely. I know. I just saw an article where Tyler Perry said he's not even going to expand. Well, he's thinking about, he stopped the expansion of an $800 million, I think, expansion of his studio because of AI, of what AI can do. So it definitely come into play. I think that you do yourself a disservice if you do not understand AI, because the more you understand it, the more you see it's not creative. So you still have to add whatever you go do to it. And if not, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's obvious that real people don't talk the way, like some of the stuff that AI would kick out. So, but it's a tool, it's not like, it's not the book itself. It's not the script itself. It's no different than a computer that you're using to type it. So, I mean,
All right, man. Arthur Muhammad, AM Films, director, producer, writer, editor. First movie's $6,000 on screen, and he sold it to a few artists, and here he is today, man. This is it's great, man, that you didn't give up, man. This is just such a great story. I mean, I can't appreciate it enough. Can't wait to see more of your work, and the great people that you've been able to work with. And it's just, I love it, man. I love your perseverance. I appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully this won't be the last time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
What is the one thing that we fear? And the truth can come in a twinkling of an eye, in a day, or in a year. But for me and my family, it was 12 hours. From sundown to sunup, we had to face the truth. I refuse to believe in what's going on in this house, and I rebuke it in the name of Jesus.
I'm on practice, Buddha.
I couldn't see myself, my reflection in the mirror.
Sometimes she would put spells on us to protect us.
Resist the devil and he will flee from you.
Some people don't want to know the truth.
What is the one thing that we fear? The truth. And the truth can come in a twinkling of an eye, in a day, or in a year. But for me and my family, it was 12 hours.